After delivering a stellar episode last week, Shaman King is back to deliver a very relaxed episode with some great insight to the characters. So without any further ado, let's talk some Shaman King. After the traumatic fight with Faust, Yoh needs some downtime as his friendship with Manta gets tested, as well as his prowess to become the Shaman King and his motivations. But before I dive into my thoughts on Shaman King, I want to know what you thought of this week's episode, what you thought of last week's episode, what have you been feeling about the show thus far. Let me know all of that in the comments below. Start the conversation. It's the most important part. And while you're down there, if you're new to the channel, consider clicking the subscribe button. It does wonders to get my content out there, and you'll always be aware of whenever I upload more great content. As I said in the intro, this episode really gives us some downtime with our characters. It's actually quite a refreshing change of pace, as Yoh is traumatized for what he put Manta through, and Manta is traumatized because obviously what happened to him, but also that Yoh lost the fight because of him. Manta blames himself. And something that I really like in this episode is that Manta has a family. When he's in the hospital, the episode starts and there it is his mother, his sister looks exactly like him, and then his father, who's very strict, very mean-spirited, kind of reminds us of Ren's father, but that's a conversation for another day since we haven't seen him in this show just yet. But I really like how the odds stack up against Manta. After last week's traumatic experience, now his family is telling him to back off and end his friendship with Yoh, but also they're moving him to America so he has none of these problems. And as Manta is set on defying his family, he goes to Yoh and Yoh pushes him away. He says he doesn't want to be friends anymore because Manta made him lose the fight. Now, obviously, this is just a means of protecting Manta on Yoh's part. He's not serious about this at all. It's hurting him, in fact, and I really like that drama that is generated right here in this decision that Yoh has to make, that he is forced to make in his mind to protect Manta. There's a nitpick I have with this episode, and that is that we start the episode with this great dramatic shift for our characters, and then halfway through this episode, it's fixed. Now, obviously, the end game is for them to get back together, so that really is a nitpick. It doesn't hurt the episode or the show itself too much. It's just something that I wish could have lasted a little while longer, maybe until next week at the very least. But as this breakup, quote-unquote, is happening, I really like what Manta is going through. His family is sending him away from the only friend he ever had. There's this really funny shot. There's nothing particularly funny. They're not attempting comedy, but the shot of him and his sister as two little, I don't even know, man, frogs. They're the size of frogs, and then their mother sitting right there. It must have been super easy for her to give birth to them. But everything from Faust cutting him open, to his family sending him away, to Yoh breaking up, again, quote-unquote, with him, is really taking its toll on Manta until Ryu comes in, because he was going to America as well, but he decides, hey Manta, let's go find Yoh, because I'm sure he wasn't serious. I love this. I love relationships driving the story forward. And Ryu Manta has always been one of my favorite relationships and friendships in the original show. I like seeing it starting at this point in this new version. I really like the mix of these two. I think the two of them can be very effective, dramatically speaking, but also lend to some great funny moments, which you'll see in a bit. And so they go after Yoh, who is back in his home with his grandfather, and he's ready to make a test to cross that cave, lose all the senses, and focus on increasing his Furyoku. And he's going to have to cross this cave where shamans of the old days and spirits inhabit it for 7 days and 7 nights. And as Manta and Ryu try to get to him, Tamao, who is a servant, a friend of the Asakura family, she's there trying to protect Yoh because she knows a big person and a small person. That's not the terminology she uses, but that's what I'm gonna use. She knows a big person and a small person are coming to create decimation for you. I don't remember the particular words she says, the particular terminology, but I'm sure I'll have a clip of the episode or a picture right in front of me for you guys to see what she actually said. But Tamao believes that Ryu and Manta are coming to attack Yoh, and she confronts them along with Ponchi and Conchi in one of the weirdest sections not just of this episode, but really of the entire show, out of most animes I've seen, because Ponchi and Conchi attack Ryu and Manta. They kick Ryu in the balls as well as cut the tip of his hair that was growing out. And then Ponchi, I'm never sure which one is Conchi and which one is Ponchi, but I guess Ponchi grabs Manta with what looks to be his ball sack. And then Conchi is pissing on Manta. So it's very suggestive. It's a hilarious image, but also kind of disturbing at the same time too. For Manta to be like inside or within the ball sack of a creature. It's just hilarious, it's weird, it raises so many questions, and I'm kind of happy they don't answer any of those questions. Quickly enough, as Tamo is ready to fucking kill Manta, Anna intervenes and talks about who Manta is, who Ryu is, and so Tamo, Ryu, Manta, Amidamaru, and Anna all go to the side of the cave that Yoh is about to come out of. And he comes out of just the same good old Yoh, and I love it. I love that he doesn't change who he is to become the Shaman King. That's one of the purest aspects of Yoh. But throughout this whole thing, this first part of the episode, we get so much insight to everyone's motivation. To Manta, to Ryu, to Tamo, to Anna, to Amidamaru, to Yoh's grandfather, who eventually, after a great meal they're having all together, confronts him to test if his Furyoku did increase, and Yoh quickly dismisses the Shikigamis that his grandfather throws at him, revealing Amidamaru's new Oversoul form when he's in Harusame, with not only his face, but also the big shield that is kind of his armor around Yoh's arm as well. And now he's ready for his next fight against Taoren. We also get some insight into his motivation as he gets out of the shower, he's having a conversation with Bason, and we learn that Ren's true motivation is kind of to destroy his family. That's why he wants to become the Shaman King, to stop this perpetuating of the cycle of hate that his family has been perpetuating for years and years now. And we learn a little bit of why Ren has that horse. We learn a little bit quickly about Bason's backstory when he was a great warlord back in China, and I really like this. I really like the episode about motivations and exploring everyone's motivations, what brings everyone together, and what does everyone want to take out of this adventure, this story, this path that they're handing down in. So all in all, this is a great episode of Shaman King. It's a refreshing change of pace from what we have been seeing up until now. Fight after fight after fight, which I love, but it's always nice to get something different. We get quick little bits of action in this episode, which is always great, obviously, but more intimate personal stories for all the characters that we know and love thus far. So this would rank pretty high on my Shaman King episode rankings thus far. Last week's is still my favorite, but it was really enjoyable. But what did you think of this week's Shaman King progress? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. Start the conversation, and if you have watched this far but still haven't subscribed, consider clicking it. You'll do wonders to get my content out there. You'll help the channel a lot. We are very close to 3,000 subscribers. It would mean the world to me. And yeah, I just love talking to you guys, some Shaman King or movies or TV, all sorts of great stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to check out my review of A Quiet Place Part 2 that is already up on the channel, as well as my review of Army of the Dead. And so until the next one, love each other and love the movies.